Hello, and welcome to Sideways. This week, we're talking about how unreliable our memories can be, whether we think we remember something that never happened, or can't remember anything about a period of our lives and struggle to find something that will fill the gap. A goat is arrested on suspicion of robbery of a Mazda 323. Some Reading Festival pizza rots Martin's jeans. And I feel grateful for the help I received when I was unexpectedly attacked by malware. False memory.
Good morning.
Good morning.
9:29. I'm on. As you said, you wanted to start this recording at 9:29 this morning rather than 9:30.
Yeah, I felt that extra minute might give me a little bit of leeway.
It can make all the difference, can't it?
You can. You never know, do you, when you might need an extra minute?
No, you don't. And we've saved it, and we probably just wasted it talking about it. But apart from that,
Well, we've only wasted about 15 seconds of it so far.
Well, that's 20. Anyway, you're right. I know we always talk about the weather weekend, but it's raining again this morning, isn't it?
Well, it's funny, actually. I was thinking about you this morning because I knew you'd mentioned the bad weather when I spoke to you. And I took the dog to Millennium Park this morning.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, it was pouring with rain, but it was actually quite nice over there. You know, walked over the bridge, past the football grounds, along the river there.
Oh, right, yeah.
It was very nice. Lots of lovely bird song.
Which is nice.
Saw a couple of goldfinches.
Did you?
And a tree creeper I saw this morning.
Did you? What's that?
It's a bird.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought it sounds more like a frog or something.
Yeah, I think there are
or a
frogs,
plant.
I don't know. Yeah, I think I think the name tree creeper is reminiscent of a frog. Actually, I think there is a frog of similar name, but I'm not well versed enough in the amphibian canon. You used that word last week, didn't you?
I did. You rather like it, do you?
I do. It's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Well, anyway, I'm glad, and it is. There's something nice actually down by the river when the rain is hitting the river. It's quite nice. It gives a nice resonance.
It does. I'll tell you the other nice thing about the rain this time of year, and that is, if you're someone who goes out in the rain all year round, like I do, one of the nice things about the rain at this time of year is that it's not cold in the rain.
No, it's quite mild out, isn't it?
Exactly. So I can cope with rain when it's not freezing cold. Freezing rain, that's not quite so funny, but there we are.
There we are. We better move on, otherwise we'll have a whole episode just talking about...
We've totally wasted that minute.
Yeah, we have, and another few since aggregated it on. But what I wanted to talk to you about this morning was about false memories.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I only recently put it on the list. Because rather ironically, it was triggered by a memory that I'd had from a conversation I'd had some years ago.
Oh.
And that conversation was triggered by, and I was watching a TV crime drama series, and I can't remember which one it was. It might have been a YouTube clip, I can't remember. But they were in a court setting at the trial, and the concept of false memories came up, which obviously can have quite large consequences in that situation. So I thought, well, that's quite a good idea to do. But then at that point, I couldn't remember if you'd done one or not. So but I thought, well, I think we have to sort of define what false memories are, which I will when we come to that part of it, because it's obviously distinct from having a bad memory, isn't it?
Yeah. So is it something that you think crops up quite a lot in addiction?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it does.
Yeah. Rather than... I can't remember what happened.
Yeah.
You might misremember something or remember something happening that didn't happen.
Well, that's more to the point. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, before we start,
we've
talked about the shutter lady the last couple of episodes, haven't we? About the lady that got caught in the shop shutter and was lifted off her feet upside down and into the air.
It's still funny. Yeah.
It is. It's a funny clip that obviously went viral and was on the news. But I know that I was looking at, it might have just been on a little video on TikTok or Facebook or something, but they've actually done a mural of her now on a shutter, haven't they? Have you seen that? Which is it's a nice bit of artwork. I sent it to you,
didn't I?
No, you didn't. No, I don't think so. I'd seen it elsewhere.
Oh, did you?
You may have sent it to me, but I think I may have already seen it.
Are you sure this isn't a false memory?
It could be, couldn't it? Could be right. Yeah, I might be making this up as to where it came from.
Yeah, I have seen it, and I sent it to you. So, yeah, you might have seen it somewhere else. But, yes, I did see that the mural. And I also read in that same report that the guy, I'm assuming it was a guy, which is terribly sexist of me, but I think it was a guy. He said that a couple of times while he was painting it, he was mistaken for Banksy.
Really? Yeah, I didn't read that. So it was, but I know there's been an interview with her, isn't there? And
there has, yeah.
And they asked her why she held onto her holdall, her shopping trolley, and which you and I discussed. And she said, "Oh, I don't know." So there was no great revelation, was there?
Well, in the report I read, she said she thinks she held onto it for stability, which was one of the things that we assumed.
Oh, right, okay.
Wasn't it? That she probably thought, hang on, if I'm going up in the air upside down, might be best to hang on to my shopping trolley, because if I do fall, I might go headlong into it. You never know. She might have had something quite soft in there, like some baps.
Well, yeah. Whatever the reasoning was, she's made it onto our episodes the third week in a row.
Yeah, she's probably more popular than anyone else that we've ever had. Have you ever been mistaken for Banksy?
No, but I know, because I have done mural work.
Have you? Oh yes, you have, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah. In my line of work, we've done murals. So someone did start to call me Panksy at one time, which I thought was quite funny.
It's quite good. I hadn't even thought of that.
Anyway, yes, Lady in Shutter. You've done that. We talked about that, haven't we? The next point on my notes was that there's a story. Do you remember we talked about a pigeon once that was jailed as a potential Chinese spy?
It wasn't long ago, was it? It
wasn't long ago. It was only a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's now come across a story where there's been a goat held by police in Nigeria on a robbery charge. I mean, apparently vigilantes seized the goat, saying that it was an armed robber who had used sort of ancient spiritual magic to transform himself into an animal to escape after he was trying to steal a Mazda 323. Now, I don't. If he was a goat, I'd probably try and steal perhaps a better car. I don't know. Perhaps I'm dissing the 323.
Yeah, why would you want to steal it? Maybe the Mazda 323 is a very popular car in Nigeria.
It may be, yeah. It may be. Perhaps it's more goat size. Basically, thought I'll get in here. This is all right. But anyway,
I suppose you need certain distance between the seat and the pedals, wouldn't you, if you're a goat?
Yeah, he's probably stolen them in the past. But this is the one for me. I know I'm all right in this.
He's probably tried other vehicles, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I had a Ford Cortina once, but found that there wasn't enough space for his legs.
Hooves. Yeah. I can't imagine him trying the door handles. Can you go along the road, a row of cars, trying to find one that's open?
No.
But, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's by the by.
What happened to him then? Do you know what happened to him?
Yeah, I think I released him without charge in the end. I think I tried to get him to change back to a man, but it didn't happen. So I think
he probably ate all the court papers. They eat anything, don't they, goats?
Yeah, absolutely do. They're great, aren't they, goats?
I love a goat. Can't stand their cheese and milk, though.
Well, I know you don't like their products.
Absolutely foul stuff.
Yeah, but I'm quite keen. But anyway, should we go to the subject matter of the day?
Yeah, we better.
False memories. This is defined, and I'll read it out. A false memory is a fabricated or distorted recollection of events. Such memories may be entirely false and imaginary. In other cases, they may contain elements of fact that have been distorted by interfering information or other memory distortions. Not a great definition, really, but it's the best one I could find.
Well, I mean, false memory syndrome is something that's quite kind of prevalent in terms of something like child sexual abuse.
It is, yeah, that came up a lot.
But I don't know I'm hoping we're not going into that area.
No, we're not. We're not going to go into that at all. That came up as well, false memory syndrome, and it is further down in my notes, but we'll address it now. It's sort of been discredited. It's not recognised actually as a syndrome.
No, that's right. I mean, there's a lot of controversy around it anyway, because I know there's been quite a lot of research into the notion that therapists sometimes put ideas into patients' heads.
Okay.
When they can't remember what happened in childhood, and they're kind of looking for a reason for presentations of trauma.
Yeah.
There's been accusations in the past that it's actually been the therapist that has convinced the client that they must have been abused as a child. But there has been a lot of research on that. I mean, it's quite a complicated topic. But when you said you wanted to do false memory, I thought, crikey, I hope he's not going there. That's going to be very tricky.
I'm not, and so I would have avoided putting you on the spot, but you've done it yourself, which is great.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I've never suggested that to anybody. Perhaps we'll come on to talk about the way of treating someone with false memory.
Yeah, well, I was hoping you'd have some input there, but I have got some.
Well, I've only got some personal, personal sort of opinion rather than.
Well, that's great. That's great. That's great because I think it would. But what I did come across was false memory OCD, which is recognized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but again, I think this is an evolving science or an area of research where there's still a lot to learn about.
Yeah, like everything, I think.
Yeah.
Anything brain sciencey is very much evolving, isn't it?
I think still in its infancy, isn't it? So like discovery of the universe, we can just see a tiny fraction of it. There's loads more to go. But in the case, in my case, I remember, I was having a conversation with an old work colleague who recounted a story to me where he'd put himself at the centre of the plot and he was regurgitating something I told him sometime earlier, a couple of years earlier.
Wow.
That happened to me. So I know it did, and then I started to question it. Well, perhaps it did, but there's other corroborations around that it was actually me, but they'd sort of used it, and I think they believed it, and it was like because they were there, and so perhaps the false memory. I think perhaps it is a good example of how that can happen.
So, do you think that the particular story involved was there some reason that this individual might have wanted to have been at the centre?
I don't know. You question all of that, don't you? And again, which is why false memories is quite a difficult area or an intriguing area.
Yeah,
it is strange. But I mean, most of the studies looking at false memories, because I've read quite a lot on this week actually, but found that individuals with a history of substance abuse had showed significantly higher rates of false memories than others.
Really? Probably
not a surprise, really. When you're using mind-altering substances, when you do go into recovery, obviously you start to iron some of these things out. But I think some of the stuff that's been ingrained in there. I mean, if I try to think back at my fuzzy decade, I'm not sure what was true and what isn't. You do have some memories of it. Yeah, I do. Absolutely right. And that's what the memories are built upon. Perhaps, a grain of truth or a grain, you remember something fleetingly and then you fill in the blanks. I think our brain is good at filling in the blanks. That's what the brain does. It fills in the blanks. Yeah, I mean, you can broaden out that concept, can't you? And say that it's very difficult for us to prove conclusively which of our memories are true. We think of things, from our childhoods that, feel to us as if they are absolutely certainly true, but actually if we were able to go back there, we'd probably find that the reality was quite different. Yeah, well, again, it's quite fuzzy, isn't it? I mean, I think, you're right. The only way to really tell if something is true or not is to get independent verification, isn't it? And that's quite tricky. Because everyone else has got the same impairment, haven't they? Well, especially if you're trying to work out what's happened in a pub when everyone's at the wrong end of a few lagers. That's no good to anyone. It's not the evidence that is going to stand up in court, particularly. No. It's quite sort of worrying, really, when you think about how many memories you've kind of amassed over the years that we've been alive, and the fact that really we can't be absolutely certain about which ones are true and which ones aren't. I know, I find it fascinating because I know that you can put yourself. I was one of the Facebook pages or groups I belong to is like from the Reading Rock Festival from the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I look at pictures and I think, oh yeah, I remember that, but do I? Do I remember it, or am I just putting myself there? Yeah, and there's areas that I think, oh yeah, I remember that walking down there, but is that being implanted falsely? And will that then become a memory going forward that I rely on? I suppose if two people sort of independently remember the same thing, there's a fair degree of certainty. For instance, can you remember dropping pizza on your jeans at the Reading Rock Festival? I do. I remember that. That was definitely a memory which is real. And then only a couple of months later, they developed a hole, didn't they? They did. Rotted away. Yeah, they did. The jeans were rotted by Reading Rock Festival pizza.
That would make quite a good headline, actually.
It would, yeah. I'll put that down, and you could use that. But I think it is, yeah. But that sort of thing, yeah, it's verified, isn't it? So we know that happened. Or our friend Yem getting hit by a corn on the cob, a flying corn on the cob that came through the air.
I always think that hit him in the bridge of the nose. Is that right?
It is, yeah. That's where I remember it, because we were all hunched down hiding because there was a massive can fight. You were allowed to take cans into the festival in those days. There's a massive can fight, wasn't there? And he looked up from his haunch position, and corn on the cob hit him square on the bridge of the nose. Which, yeah,
so, just another sort of memory regarding Yem.
Yeah,
I'm sure you told me once that at a party.
What's funny? You can't say it for laughing.
Party, someone was sick in his mouth.
That wasn't Yem. No, that was.
Oh, wasn't it?
No, I don't think it happened to. No, I know it was happened to a friend of mine who was in a restaurant, and the girl next to him was being sick, and she put her hand over her mouth, and it flew. Yeah, a bit of vomit flew onto his meal and into his mouth. Yeah, what a horrible story. Yeah, we don't want that, do we?
Oh dear! I do apologise if you're eating when you're listening to this, but that is one of my favourite stories of all time. It was the way you told it to me the first time. You see, I've got a memory of that. I've got a memory of how you described it and the actions. And whenever I bring it to mind, it makes me laugh, which actually says something else about false memory, which I think we'll probably come to.
Okay. I've lost where I am on my notes now. Been laughing. Oh, yeah. Memories of past events. This is one of the bits of research I looked at. They can often be, they change as we get older. As we change it, or our worldview changes. Yeah. And I think you've touched on it earlier. People regularly recall childhood events falsely through effective suggestions, as you've sort of touched on there, and other methods. It's been proven that these suggestions can create new false memories. So perhaps there is something in it, what you touched on before. But I'd imagine it's not something we'd purposely do unless we are trying to manipulate someone.
Or we're trying to manipulate our own memories, because I think it's quite common from childhood. I've worked with a lot of people who can't remember anything much from their childhood. And again, without going into that must mean you were sexually abused.
Yeah.
I think sometimes sometimes that is an indication that there were difficulties, or it was an unhappy time, or whatever it might be. There's a kind of reason that we're blanking out entire portions of our lives. So, I think it's important to stop short of suggesting to someone what actually happened at that point. Yeah. But there is a reason, why you can't remember portions of life.
I reckon that your earliest memories, I don't know what yours is, but we rarely remember anything before the ages of about 3 or 4.
Well, 3, I can remember falling off my Jolly Jumbo into Holland Road. My Jolly Jumbo was a tricycle.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I was obviously outside on my own at 3, which is very delinquent of my mother. But I obviously went over the curb and went into the road and cut my head open.
Okay.
And Mrs. White, John's mum, actually found came out and picked me up. But I can remember that very distinctly. Now, obviously, no one that was involved in that episode is alive now to corroborate it. But I'm certain it happened.
I'd imagine that would have been imprinted on your mind. That's quite a trauma at that age, isn't it?
And I think I was 3, so I certainly can't remember anything earlier than that.
I can't. I think my earliest remember, I was trying to think of this when I was putting notes together, and luckily the memory's sort of been time stamped, and because it was my nan, Gangan, who lived with us. I got this memory of her with my younger brother Paul on her lap.
Yep.
And she said to me, "Oh, you looked exactly like." I think it was his 2nd birthday. And I remember Gangan saying to me, "Oh, he looks just like you did when you were 2." So I know then I'd have been around about 4. Because so I know that, but I don't remember anything before. I don't remember him being born or arriving. All I remember is he was sitting on my grandma's lap when he was 2.
Yeah, there we are. You see,
it is. But I remember there was a guy in Scouts that he tried to convince us, and he may have been trying to convince himself that he had memories from when he was in the womb. Now,
I've heard other people say that, actually.
I mean, but that's not only is it before the age of 3 or 4, but it's pre-birth.
Yeah.
But that can't. How? I don't know. I don't know if that's a memory or not, or something.
I don't know. I mean, obviously we've got. I don't know where our sort of consciousness begins, but I think this is what's difficult. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
You can't really contradict someone's memory, can you? If someone says, "Oh, I remember this happening," you're not really in a position to say, "No, you don't." Are you?
No, quite.
How can you can't? It's all kind of supposition, really.
It is. There's another point that came up about people's existing knowledge that you have can impede and obstruct your own memory, leading to a newly formed, cobbled together recollection that does not accurately reflect reality. I wasn't quite sure what they're getting at there, but is that just the experience of life around you, or experience of something that's happened similar to this false memory you've had? Or I wasn't quite sure.
I think that sounds as if that's probably about the sort of life around you. So, for example, if you grow up in a house with unhappy, warring parents, for example, I think you're more likely to remember the episodes that corroborate your memory of the general feeling around you. If there was a feeling of tension and conflict, you're probably more likely to remember tension and conflict. And it'll be harder for you to remember, the good times. And it will probably then seem, going back to confirmation bias, it'll probably then seem as if it was kind of unremittingly terrible. It probably wasn't if you went back there, but they're the kind of memories that you've held on to. So I think, that's probably what that's aiming at, I think.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, and it comes on to the point where in recovery, when we've talked about fade effect bias, so it can be closely related to what we're talking about here. But certainly when we go into recovery, and in the early stages, we still look back and have this sort of glamorous view. Sometimes we filter out some of the bad points via fade effect bias, but we'll fill in those blanks sometimes with false memories of how good things were at that point, with a view to saying to yourself, "Oh, perhaps it wasn't so bad after all. Or perhaps I'm not a real addict or a real alcoholic, because there's lots of good times." And again, so that can be quite a bit of a stumbling block going forward sometimes. So we have to clear those out.
And I think that also raises another important issue about false memory, which is the question of whether it is consciously false or unconsciously false. Because what you're really talking about there is denial.
Yes, you are.
Because if I look back and I say, now I'm, starting in recovery, or I'm faltering in recovery, for example, and I look back and think, actually, it wasn't that bad, I didn't behave too badly, then there's kind of the inference there that consciously I don't want to think it was too bad. I don't really want to confront that. So I think in recovery, that's a pretty understandable symptom.
It is understandable, but I think one of the ways of dealing with false memories, or false memory syndrome, if we can still use that phrase, even though it's not totally recognised, it's important to recognise that they exist. Because if you don't recognise that false memory exists, then obviously you're not going to be able to challenge them. And that's the only real way, as we've said, to sort of get rid of the negative connotations or the negative repercussions of false memories, is to be aware that they're there, and to challenge them and look for outside evidence to perhaps counteract what you're thinking, which is quite tough. I think because it's not an exact science, there's no exact science to sort of get round it either, to get around this false memory thing. It's something you've probably got to live with, but being aware of it and potentially managing it is probably the only way forward.
Well, I think in a therapeutic sense, I always feel that if someone has a memory, whether it's false or not, it's that's affecting them.
Right.
So you might just as well deal with it as if it's the truth.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Because it is the truth to that person.
Yeah.
And so on the basis that it's impossible for us to be certain, I'm talking about, most reasonably run-of-the-mill stuff, perhaps not, terrible, deep-seated trauma. But if someone has a memory of something happening, you may just as well treat it as if it happened.
Yeah.
Because What else are you going to do? Otherwise, you're in a position where you have to say, well, that probably didn't happen, did it? Or are you sure that happened? I mean, that feels very much like a bit of a waste of time. So for example, if you feel as if your childhood was unremittingly bad because, your parents are always fighting, then that is your reality. And that's the thing that you have to work through and deal with. And so there seems little value in, trying to pick over the realities of what is true and what isn't.
No, I think you're absolutely right, because what you're dealing with there is the effect of that, isn't it? Whether the memory is true or false, the effect is still real. If you proved it was a false memory, it probably wouldn't take away the effect immediately either, would it? It still need to deal with that because of its deep-seated nature. Well,
also, if you're holding a memory, there's a reason you're holding that memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as we were saying before, even if you're holding it, even if you've kind of consciously constructed it as a form of denial or as a form of defense, it still needs dealing with. So I think, in that sense, what I don't agree with is, as I said before, trying to suggest to someone, what their absence of memory or what their, false memory might suggest to them. I don't know enough about the functioning of the brain to be able to step into that area. So as a therapist, I certainly wouldn't go there with a client.
No, and I don't think either of us would be able to come up with anything sparkling on that. But I can sort of round up with a couple of quotes, if you like.
Gandhi?
No, the first one's from Salvador Dali. So it might be a little bit surreal. We don't know.
Yeah.
But he was one of my all-time favourite surrealist painters. I have a certain. I lean towards him and think, well, no, he's a quality painter. It might be giving him the halo effect that we talked about last week.
Yeah, I think there might be some halo effect here. You might be sharing a pizza with Jody here.
Yeah, I think what he said the difference between false memories and true ones is the same as for jewels. It's always the false ones that look the most real and the most brilliant.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think that's it, rather than a statement, that's a discussion point almost, isn't it? But I think
I mean, he's making a statement, isn't he? But I'm not sure he's necessarily qualified to say that's true. But it is an interesting perspective.
It is.
Yeah.
Which he always looked at life through a rather interesting lens, I felt, when he was putting paint to canvas.
Yeah.
And the second one was human memory is not a recording device. It's more like a Wikipedia page. You can change it, but others can too.
I like that one. Who said that?
It's uncredited.
Oh, okay.
So you can have it if you like.
No, I don't think so. It'd be like that colleague of yours, sort of stealing, taking centre stuff. Yeah, so of course I remember I said that. I came up with that. Do you know there have been times though in the past where I've said to people, I remember hearing such and such. And I actually can't remember whether I thought of it or whether someone else told me. And I always, in fairness to me, I do tend to say, I don't think I came up with that. I think someone else must have heard it somewhere. I don't know how, I kind of imagine that we're quite good at knowing when we've come up with an original thought and when we've stolen one from someone else. But I might be wrong about that.
Well, there are, there's opinion that nothing is new. It's all plagiarised. We plagiarise everything we say and do is plagiarised. It's got it's got a spark. Has got to come from somewhere, isn't it? It's got to start. Yeah,
I find that a painfully reductionist and depressing idea. And you'll have to excuse me for 30 seconds because my time is going off, and otherwise the bread will burn.
Oh right, okay, mate. So I'll see you in a second.
Bear with me for a sec.
Yeah, I will do.
I'm back.
So I reckon it's time we can just move on to our gratitude list then, if you're all right with that.
Okay, let's do that.
Are you up first this week?
I'll go first if you like. So this week, I'm grateful for Stefan in Slovenia.
Stefan in Slovenia. I don't know who this Stefan in Slovenia is, but
earlier this week, I was doing something on my website, and I logged on to one of my website pages, and it took me off to some strange site that said I could win a prize. I thought, oh crikey, I've been infected by malware, which is quite bad because if you leave that, you get blacklisted by Google and you disappear from search results and all sorts of things.
Oh, do you? Right, okay.
So I enlisted the help of Stefan from Slovenia to solve my malware problem, and it was quite complicated, and he got it all done in a day. I mean, did cost me a few bob, but I was very thankful for his quick response.
Wow.
And his thorough cleaning of the problems on my website. So
how did you find him?
there's a website called Upwork.
Okay.
Where you go to find freelancers that do all sorts of different things.
Right.
And so I always use that. And you post a job on there. I've had a malware attack on my website. Help.
Yeah.
And then you wait for people to, come along and say, I can do that for you.
Yeah, all right, okay. Well, that sounds quite good.
So I was very grateful for that, because otherwise I'd have had a website under maintenance sign up on my website for days on end.
No, well, you did the right thing there. So, and I can understand why you'd be grateful about that. It's a problem which when you first sort of thought, oh my God, no, what am I going to do here? And then someone sorted it out for you.
Actually, I could broaden it out and say I'm actually quite thankful for Upwork. It's a fantastic resource if you need that sort of work done.
They should sponsor us, really, shouldn't they? With that sort of,
they should probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway, that's good. It is good, which is better than mine, really. Although that's not a competition.
Have you not had a malware attack this week, then?
No, I haven't, mate. Oh. No, not that I'm aware of. I'd probably just ignore it and think, I'll be all right, go.
You get blacklisted by Google, though.
Well, I wouldn't worry about that. I don't think I'll come up on Google anywhere and any. But do you remember the last 2 or 3 weeks I've had free cake? Do you remember starting off with that? Then free bread, then free peanut butter.
Yeah.
This week it's a whole free meal that I've been having, which was really nice. Which was I was invited round to my cousin's house for an evening meal, which was lovely.
Did you have cake, bread, and peanut butter?
No, none of those.
That's very nice. So basically, you don't have to go shopping anymore, do you?
Virtually, I'm being fed by those around me. Yeah, which is it's humbling and lovely.
Yeah, you've got a very powerful support network, haven't you?
Yeah, I think they look at me and think that lad needs fattening up.
Yeah, well now, you get in as an OAP at the football, so I suppose they'd say you should keep an eye on your elderly neighbours.
Meals on wheels, virtually, isn't it? Evolved in now.
That's good. What did you have for dinner?
In fact, it was something I'd requested, which was, I think it's my favourite basic meal, which is sausage, mash, beans, onion gravy. And
really?
Yeah.
Oh, beans and onion gravy?
Yeah.
No, one or the other.
Absolutely lovely.
No, I'm not having that.
And then cheesecake for afterwards.
Well, I bet you were bloody full after that.
Oh, yeah, because I had a little double helping of the sausages as well. So, I was groaning by the time I came home.
I had kedgeree for dinner last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
Where did you get that from?
Oh, I made it. It won't surprise you to hear.
Well, you're grateful for that, are you?
I was grateful. I mean, always grateful for food, aren't you? You should be grateful for food.
Yeah, basic need, mate, isn't it? Like breathing, you need it. It's got to be done. Yeah,
well, that's always why I feel sore about food critics.
Right, yes.
It's such a pointless job, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Mind you, I expect some people think that what we do is
just as pointless. That'd be absolutely right. But the feature we do here is about 100 skills every person should master. And I can't remember if we've done this before or not.
Well, I'll soon tell you.
Okay, speak a foreign language.
I think we have done it.
I've got a feeling we've done it.
I think we have done it. And I think what I said the last time was I think it is good to speak a foreign language, but the difficulty for us as English speakers is it's difficult to know which one to speak.
It is. Now, I think I've sort of run out of anything interesting on that list now.
Didn't I send you another list, though?
You did. 50 things to do before you die or something. So
you'll have to tap into that one.
I'm going to move on to that next week. Yeah, I think it's run its course, this one.
Yeah, good.
On this day in music, but which year? Little quiz for you, as you always like. Do you know which year Kate Bush was number one in the UK with Wuthering Heights?
I hear him before I. Oh no, that's not it. That's the man with a child in his eyes, isn't it?
Which is a lovely song.
That is a super song, isn't it? Wuthering Heights. So that was when she burst onto the scene.
It was when she first.
I'm going to say I'm quite confident about this. I think it was 78.
It is 78. Good on you. Yeah. You get straight in, mate. Yes. I reckon you must have researched that and thought, I'm going to do some research.
No, I just remember. I remember seeing her on Top of the Pops singing that, and it just felt, just 78 just came up. I like Kate Bush.
I love Kate Bush. Well, she's a local girl as well, really. Which is Bromley, isn't she? Yeah, Bromley. Just up the road, yeah. That's where she was born.
Okay. Yeah. But, all right, that's 2, but I don't think I've ever got 2 points on the first question.
I don't know if you have or not. I can't remember. You've got a false memory. You probably say, yeah, I get it every time. Okay, do you know for which year will.i.am was born from the Black Eyed Peas?
Yeah, Will.i.am. Back to reality.
I was just about to tell you how old he was, and I thought, well, if I tell you that, you better work it out. What year he was born?
That'd be brilliant if you told me how old he was. Well, I'm imagining he's probably going to be a bit younger than me, I would think. I'm going to say 19. I don't really know. I'm going to say 1970.
You're 5 years out, mate. 1975. The year West Ham won the cup.
All right. If you'd asked me that, I'd have known.
You'd have known then, wouldn't you? The first time they won the cup. No, it was second time, I should say.
Second time, yeah.
Do you know then, this is someone who's going into our dead.
Oh, this is good. I enjoy it. Yeah, I'm enjoying knowing who's going into the band.
Well, we've got a keyboard player going in, which we haven't.
Excellent. About bloody time.
It's about bloody time. And it's Keith Emerson.
Oh, from Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
From Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the keyboard player there. Now, he died on the 11th of March at the age of 71. Do you know which year that was?
Right, which year was he 71? Was he also in King Crimson?
I don't know. Was he? He might have been. With prog rock knowledge is not great.
I think he might have been. You love prog rock. You love Genesis.
It's the genre I'm least akin to.
You love Genesis. You love prog rock and American rock. They're your two favourites.
I don't know the answer. I wouldn't have known the answer to this. But
okay, Keith Emerson. He was 71. I reckon he'd now be roughly... I reckon he'd be probably 77, 78 now. I'm going to say 2016.
2 points again, mate. Bang on. I think that's
yes. I've never got 4 points.
It's your best return ever.
That's magnificent. Oh, there won't be any false memory going on there.
No, you
remembering that. I'm writing that on my fridge today. 4 points. Yeah, if you beat that, Lizzie, you've done very well.
Yes. Well, I threw in the Will.i.am. I thought you might have more chance on that one.
Yeah, she'd have had more chance getting that one than an old timer like me.
She'd probably not heard of Keith Emerson. Or maybe even Kate Bush. But anyway, that'd be interesting to see how that pans out. But that's it, mate. That's all. That's well done.
Great. I'm going to bask in the glory of my 4 points.
Of your 4 points, yeah. Have a tattoo done, mate.
I think
you have to. If you get 6 points, you definitely have to get a tattoo done.
Yeah, I don't think there's much chance of me ever getting a 6-pointer.
No. Well, no, you never know.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Work. Cheers, mate.
Laters.
Bye.
Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.